Really fucking dust, fuck off.
Introducing Mr. Smelly's fragrance reviews with the international leader of the worldwide fragrance community, Mr. Smelly 1977.
Big fragrance YouTubers explaining the secret of their success.
I haven't done anything remotely creative.
Meet the policeman who arrested me for shooting swans in Hyde Park with an air rifle.
Why don't you just mind your own business? Why don't you let people live and do what they want to do?
Me explaining myself after drunkenly calling my mother-in-law a sour-faced old trout at Christmas dinner last year.
I think over a period of time, I've just realized that I am somebody who is extremely opinionated. I have a lot to say.
Me after watching Pornhub and realising that most young men in America are actually having a sexual affair with their stepmother.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody has mentioned it. Nobody admits it, but it is happening.
Me explaining to my wife when she came home and found me wearing her underwear and high heels.
Obviously, that's normal. That's obviously normal. Everybody is doing it.
The YouTube algorithm, when you finally hack into it and discover which type of videos it actually wants to promote.
All you gotta do, my friend, is show your boobies to the world and you will for sure get 100,000 views on your videos.
Me reacting to criticism of my upcoming video, Top 10 MILF Fragrance Reviewers.
What on earth is the problem?
Okay guys, hello, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to have a look at my top 10 classy fragrances for winter. So some great winter fragrances, fragrances that go down well, I think, that will wear well in the colder, darker season of the year. And they're classy, mainly kind of mature smelling, some newer releases, some older, but all really good, classy choices for the winter. So let's go in no particular order. First choice, one that I mentioned a couple of times I think on the channel recently, recent addition to my collection, and it's G.O.F. Trumper's EUCRIS. I think this one goes right back to the 19th century. It is an absolutely classic woody aromatic type fragrance, sort of a bit of almost an aromatic fougere vibe, but with this slightly dark gothic air that makes it just great for a classy, dressed up kind of scenario, and does, you know, make it stand out and be quite good in cold weather. I think it's got a little bit of oomph in this one. So a really beautiful fragrance. I think there's a little twist of blackcurrant alongside a lot of rich kind of woody undertones in the fragrance, a little bit of freshness actually in the beginning, and something that may remind some people of things like Quorum from Puig, but I think a much better, more classy version of this. So if you want a sort of old school, gentlemanly, almost fougere-ish fragrance with a hint of darkness and a little bit more oomph from the average one, I think EUCRIS from G.O.F. Trumper, really good. Nice performance on this one, good longevity. I've got a splash bottle here, and I think it's an absolutely stunning choice for the real smart, old school kind of guy in the winter time. Next up then, let's mix it up with something completely different. I think this is a superb choice. Papillon Tobacco Rose from the amazing perfumer Liz Moores, and Tobacco Rose, as the name suggests, is a beautiful combination of a hay-like tobacco accord mixed in with beautiful fresh rose. Just absolutely so delicate, so well balanced, but yet they were delicate yet powerful and refined all at once. Definitely a unisex fragrance, but great for guys. Very unique kind of smell, really rich, really sexy, really niche smelling, and just absolutely has that kind of darkness. I think it's a kind of a dark, brooding tobacco scent, and a kind of a very beautiful, not a jammy sweet rose, but a slightly almost a bitter floral kind of tone in this one, and very rich, very classy, beautiful fragrance, perfect for the colder season. Tobacco Rose from Papillon.
If you'd like to see an extra video from me every week, sign up to my Patreon group. It's only $2 a month. There's a link in the description, and we have loads of interesting stuff going on there. I do a lot of fragrance stuff, of course, but I also talk about some other things to do with my life. It's really fun, and I hope to see you in there. As I say, you can follow the link in the description, or just go to Patreon and type in Mr. Smelly 1977.
Okay, my next selection, we're going to go for Mouchoir de Monsieur from Guerlain. Amazing fragrance, again, dates right back many decades back, pre-World War II, just may even be pre-World War I, I'm not sure. Mouchoir de Mouchoir, and it's an amazing fragrance. It has similarities to Jicky by Guerlain. That is a really funky, potent, powerful fragrance. This one just a little less funky than that one. It has this powdery kind of barbershop feel with lavender. It has the classic kind of Guerlainade slight sweetness, and then this slightly kind of funky, musky undertone. That means it's a little bit challenging. You have to be a little bit, you have to get used to this one. But a lot of people used to love wearing Jicky, including Sean Connery, and I think this is just a slightly less funky cousin to that one. And I guess it seems to be designed obviously more towards men because of the name. Mouchoir de Mouchoir, yeah, I love some of their sort of eau de Guerlain type fragrances for the spring and summer. This, my favourite from the house actually, for the winter time. Next up then, the next classy fragrance. Well, I'll go for a cliche from Mr. Smelly, but I haven't mentioned it on the channel for a while actually. Bois de Portugal, my favourite Creed fragrance, amazing bergamot mixed with lavender, vetiver, sandalwood, just this kind of dusty old bookshelf type of vibe, but really classy. Bit like Chanel Pour Monsieur on steroids. Frank Sinatra's signature scent, lasts really long time. Bit of lavender in there too. It's some people call it a barbershop, but it's a rich kind of almost slightly darker take on a barbershop fragrance. Excellent stuff for the winter time. I really love Bois de Portugal. Next up, I'm going to go for a small indie niche house. This is CHYPRE SIAM from Rogue Perfumery, an amazing CHYPRE scent. We have this incredibly beautiful oak moss accord. He uses real oak moss in proportions that are not allowed by IFRA, but you can still make stuff with that in. You just don't get your IFRA certificate from the perfume certificate people. Who cares? Really kind of creamy, woody undertones mixed with this beautiful kind of bitterness and a little hint of sweetness in there. There's some slightly more exotic accords as well, hence the name CHYPRE SIAM. I think that's a city in Thailand. So he's taken the classic CHYPRE of Coty, one of the original CHYPRE fragrances from many years ago, and he's just added this twist of exoticism to it. It is an absolutely stunning creation, and it really has this kind of this longevity and this slight dark richness about it that makes it absolutely great, I think, for the winter time. So check out CHYPRE SIAM. My next selection, I mentioned it in another video, forgive me, JAIPUR, amazing cheapie. You can get it for sort of £30. I'd go with the eau de parfum just because it's a bit of a stronger concentration. It's not much different to the eau de toilette. Either will do you fine. So this is a lovely mixture of kind of bergamot, lemon opening accords with beautiful vanilla. So it's a very oriental type of smell. And of course, Jaipur, a city in India. So Boucheron pour on, my favourite from the house for maybe the springtime, even the summertime. And this one, you want something with a little bit more creaminess, a little bit more sweetness, that beautiful vanilla combined with a sort of almost Brut-esque barbershop thing, but sweeter and more powdery than Brut. Just for what I'm wearing now, it's a really dandified, a kind of a dandyish fragrance, I think. Love Jaipur from Boucheron way back in the late 90s that was first released. Okay, next selection, I'm going to go with a real great one from the house of Zaharoff. George Zaharoff, lovely guy, releasing some flankers. I know the tobacco one he's just released is getting some good talk. Haven't tried that yet. This Zaharoff signature pour on is an absolute stunning all-rounder type fragrance. Works really well though, I think, in the winter time, and it's got this kind of smooth, dark, woody stuff going on. There's a hint of oud in here, but it's not the main thing you pick up on. But these really creamy kind of woods, a little bit of spiciness, and this kind of really pleasing, sweet, yet just not very sweet. Sweetness mixed with woods and a little bit of spice, and just very grown up, very classy. Actually, I've just got Escada Pour Homme recently, which I know was the signature scent for George Zaharoff back in the 90s, and this, I think he was influenced, I reckon, a little bit by Escada Pour Homme. So if you miss that one, I think you can find a lot in this one that's reminiscent, but with a unique twist of its own. Again, great performance, really amazingly classy juice. Okay, my next pick, a modern release again, Dior Homme Parfum, the best from Dior, I think, if you want something really appropriate for colder seasons. Great oomph to this one, that amazing waxy iris lipstick thing, mixed with sandalwood, some darker type of chords, a leathery undertone, very kind of masculine and yet modern at the same time, and retains a little bit of that metrosexual vibe of the original Dior Homme, but it's the darker, richer cousin. I really think it could be the best from the Dior Homme line. Next up then, guys, do not forget about Aramis Tobacco Reserve. I think I heard a rumour that it's been discontinued, but it's a fantastic scent from Aramis. It was a relatively recent release, and it's just got this beautiful combination of creamy woods, kind of sandalwood, and just a beautiful kind of green tobacco leaf accord. Very, very nicely done. Not sweet like something like ZAHAROFF Naxos or something like Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford, where they've mixed tobacco with vanilla to good effect. This one much more of a kind of dry, grown-up, mature, non-sweet tobacco fragrance, and really, really just exquisite. Really, restores your faith in modern designer houses putting out the occasional great release, and that's certainly one. So check out ARAMIS Tobacco Reserve. Moderate performance on that one, not amazing, but just spray more, it's fine. If you want something a little bit more rugged and definitely rather classic smelling, LAGERFELD Classic is a stunning fragrance. Really, really rich kind of patchouli fragrance, and this kind of patchouli leather and a little bit of a sweet orangey type of vibe, almost a boozy cognac feel, I think, with this one. And it just makes it a really, really great, classy, grown-up fragrance for those colder seasons. It's got a lot of oomph, this fragrance, quite potent, even in its modern reformulated version. So, and of course, Scarface wore it, Al Pacino wore it in the movie Scarface. Both the character had it, it featured very briefly in the film, if you're eagle-eyed, and he actually wore it to get into the mode for playing that character. So definitely go and have a look at LAGERFELD Classic, or maybe blind buy it, because you can get a small bottle real cheap, and it's a stunner, it really is. Couple more, just two more left then. ANTAEUS Pour Homme, I think, is my favourite from Chanel. You could say Egoist is really good, but I really want that dark kind of grown-up classy feel, and this is a very old school smelling. I love actually Egoist, so maybe I should have included that, but the sandalwood note in that, it's kind of a little bit sweet, a little bit sexy. It could easily, I just plumped for this one as still my favourite. It's got that dark grown-up kind of Sean Connery feel. I don't know that he wore it, but it feels like that kind of vibe. Nice kind of freshness, bergamot, juniper in the opening, castoreum, and a leathery undertone in this one. Some people compare it to Kouros by Yves Saint Laurent, but it's a much more civilized, suited version rather than the hairy bare chest that is Kouros. ANTAEUS, an absolute stunner. Great all-rounder, kind of even, daytime and nighttime for the wintertime. ANTAEUS is so versatile, but great in the colder seasons, and maybe I would wear Pour Monsieur in the spring and summer if I was going for a Chanel. Last but not least, Bojnokoff's Purple Hat, or Mr. Bojnokoff's Purple Hat, now renamed Bojnokopf, from Fort and Manle Rasai Fort, the perfumer, and it's kind of a beautiful oud mixed with dark chocolate and sandalwood. It's incredible. It's really rich. It's really unctuous. It is one of the more sexy, adventurous, niche smelling ones in the list. But it is absolutely thoroughly classy, and I think wearing it in this kind of outfit would be ideal. Bojnokopf, Fort and Manle, highly recommended for me. Let me know what you thought of the list in the comments down below. I will see you in the next video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. And sometimes life may stink, but we can always smell good.
Thank you for the fragrances, Naughton and Wilson. They smell amazing.